Insanity is a disconnection from all of the energies, mainly love, that is responsible for your very existence. You're, of course, lied to here, and you're told love is, a relationship or an emotion. You can't define love, just one lie after another. Love is a combination of everything the Creator intends, which is all there is, its own self, its own intention, and therefore everything that it creates. In one way, love is an intelligence, so far in advance of the mind that not even the speeds of your subconscious mind could observe the information. That would be like giving you a notebook and a pen and sitting you down next to a highway and saying, okay, I want you to write down the license plate number for every car that drives past. Except I'm going to have them drive past at 500 million miles per hour and only have 10 feet in between each car. Yeah, good luck with that. But see, your soul energy, your spirit energy, can receive that information because that's one and the same. The scalar relationship can see itself as I, below, above, all, everything. So it can interpret that, and then that interacts with your mind. The way the Creator will work with you is kind of like teamwork, where, if you're throwing sandbags in preparation for a hurricane, you hand it to one person and hands it to the other person and hands it to the other person, that type of thing. That type of interaction right now in this existence is kind of how that works. And love is so advanced that people, that type of instantaneous knowing, it's kind of like, again, I have to use a movie to give you a visual idea, but in the first Matrix, when they hook Neo up to his combat training and says, get ready, and then just downloads it into his head, and he's like, whoa, I know Kung Fu, that type of thing. Yeah, that's kind of what love is, but even faster than that. You just know. Your mind has the option to store it if you wish, but it's unnecessary, for all life forms. It's... As a life form of the human type, you have a larger brain tissue mass to store and mix things up and whatnot. But your information didn't come from the brain or the brain's observance. You think it did, but it didn't. It's such a fast interaction with you that you have an emotional response to it. It's your emotional responses to love can be varied. If you're down in the dumps and you realize the love for you, you could start crying. That's happened to me, certainly, in the past few months. But that doesn't mean love makes you cry. Crying would be a release of blockage, of knowledge, just laughter as well. All of these things. If you're with somebody that you love and everything's going well and you feel the love, then it could be a blissful feeling. Love is what created the mind. Therefore, love cannot serve the mind, which is, what the people who are the consciousness that's running this planet knows. So that's why you're taught that you have to pursue love. Make love work for you. That's impossible. So you won't access love. You'll access replacements that they tell you is love. Magnetic attraction. Addiction to being in a relationship. Why are breakups so hard for you all? Because you're addicted to the person's presence. You have entrainment of vibration. Spend enough time with a person, you start to get on the same frequency, and then an exchange of energy. It's an addiction, just like an addiction to anything else. You need them to verify your own existence and vice versa. None of that is love. Romance, it's magnetic attraction, coupling of energies that are so detached that they feel that desperate need for it. Someone who really wants love seeks to express love, because you already got it. If you're connected to love, you've got love. You don't need a person to come by and love you. If it happens, great, but it'll only happen. See, you can't emit love without getting love, and if the only place you're going to get love is from love, the Creator. That's what y'all don't get. There's your answer. You see, love is like the solvent to polarity. The mind is insane. It's always in conflict with itself. I can give analogies all day for that. People don't understand how I can go up to wild animals, coexist with them. I'll go into the forest and be a group of deer and my presence is acknowledged. I can go lie down next to them, not to impose upon them. I don't go up and try to pet them. I don't, I'm aware and they know it. See, they don't need to assess it. They don't need to go read a book about humans to know what they're dealing with. Why do you think most animals bolt when you come by? Because they see you are detached. They see that you are insane. They don't need to know your name, your history, what you think your intentions are. They see it as a disease, as something that scares them. See, most people walk up to an animal and they have this hope. Oh, come here, I won't hurt you, come on. They have this hope that the animal will come, so they're trying to pursue that hope. But the hope in a binary, polarized mind would have to be offset by a belief that it will not come. Otherwise, what are you hoping for? And that duality, that insanity, is being broadcast at the animal simultaneously. And if your belief that it won't come is going to be more solid, because the hope is transient, it's in that situation. That's being created from a belief that was in your mind before you saw the animal or came into its contact with it. It's, I can't tell you how to do it. There is no procedure to know what I mean when I say you go up to an animal and you're not broadcasting a hope that it will come to you or a belief that it will not, but seeing it as an equal creation and being able to communicate with it. The animals accept my presence. They acknowledge it, and I understand them. It's funny how deer will go through a certain little ritual it's cute. They communicate with me, and I understand what they're meaning, what they're saying. A biologist would take notes and say, well, when it does this with its head and does this and this, it means that. The insanity of it. Deer can mean different things doing the same thing. Either you're connected to the Creator or you're not. It's like people that complain that they can't find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They want one so bad, they hope they're going to meet somebody, so of course, they have a belief that they will not. Otherwise, what are they hoping for? So they'll buy a certain type of perfume or maybe go shopping to get better outfits. So all these procedures that are built upon the hope. Maybe they'll run into somebody that's magnetically opposite to them in their charge and never works out, right? Forcing it that way. But then you'll hear people say, well, gosh, you know what, though? I met the perfect person when I least expected it. I was busy. I was doing something else. I wasn't thinking about it. And bang, there they were. Welcome to life. Now, why did that happen? You weren't acting upon a hope that you'll meet somebody. Therefore, the belief that you will not was not active and resonating. You allowed it to happen. This is the truth of your existence. There is another example of abundance. You think with the brain that you will learn something from aliens. What is an alien in an infinite consciousness system? What is that? Alien? Are there beings that are controlling you and running this planet that are not the same as you, that are not human? Yes, of course there are. But you've got to understand that they are disconnected as well. So it doesn't matter if their IQ is 1,500 or if they have equivalent of 5 your brains and can have 40 conversations at once. It's still memory, recall, processing, storage, and insane. It doesn't even matter if most of what they have retained appears to be correct. They will never, ever be as intuitive as a butterfly. Any person connected to intuition, to what they are, will always make quicker and better decisions than any demon, any alien, anything disconnected from the Creator. Always. I've had people ask me, so what about this mind control? Are you saying that they can interface with your brain and put images in your brain and thoughts and all kinds of stuff? How do you handle that? Well, imagine if they wanted to mind control a butterfly with the same type of images and thought implants. And of course, don't memorize butterfly. It can be anything that's connected to creation. Say they want to mind control a finch or a robin bird, okay? Well, they couldn't do it the same way. Why? They don't have the brain size to process it and store the information used to program them. But wait a minute, they're able to make incredible decisions, it appears, irrelevant of what they have stored. See, when you're connected to intuition, even if you forget what you've learned, it's always available to you. You can take an Alzheimer's patient, connect them to love and intuition. They may have forgotten what they did last year, but they won't forget that the stove is on. They won't forget certain things they need to know. Why? Is it coming from the brain? No. But why am I telling you this? If they couldn't control or mind control a bird with the same type of things they use on humans, then what are they depending upon? Very basically, what are they depending upon? The cerebral cortex, your computer. When you connect to intuition, thought implant is corrected in real time. See, if you try to memorize how they control your mind, and, all the different techniques, and I try to strategize against it from within the mind that they're controlling, forget about it. You're cooked. If you allow love and intuition to command your mind, it doesn't matter what they put into it. It knows. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. What have I witnessed in the last year? Well, let's see. I've had human being agents turn on a microphone, hearing background noise in a room, speaking to me occasionally. I've seen them put in visual subliminal messages right into my brain. I understand the technology. There's no point in telling you right now, but that is also very, very basic. Otherwise, an EEG wouldn't work. I have had them put things that look like PowerPoints in my head. I remember I woke up from sleeping and I opened my eyes, which I knew right away. See, intuition was letting me know when it happened, why it happened. It triggered my brain into beta, which that triggered the program. Once the brain goes into beta, that means he's awake, and then he won't notice it. His eyes will be open because it's very faint. Intuition had me shut my eyes real quick, and there's this, gray square with rounded corners, and it has a title that says Preconceived Core of Beliefs. I've never heard the term before, nothing, okay? This is what was in, and it had like 3 questions underneath it. And then it showed, if you've seen the movie The Ring, that video they all watch in The Ring was just a series of strange scenes and bizarre images and such. It was like that for 4 minutes straight. I'm just watching it. They've tried to intimidate me by putting really bizarre thoughts in my head, scary thoughts. They can simulate my voice. They've put my own voice in my head. Easy. They've sampled my speech patterns, my resonance, my style, and have radiated my voice back at me. I caught it because of intuition. Said, catch this. I was thinking about something else, and all of a sudden said, do you notice there's another thing going on right now? Listen. Saying the most perverted things, and they put perverted images in my head, scary images in my head, everything you can imagine. I have had what some of you would call aliens try to control my mind, a consciousness. Some of you would call demons that have tried to psychically attack me and control my mind. Was witnessing what you would call paranormal stuff, things moving on their own. I've been hit with what are like energy balls that feel like it's going to knock your spirit right out of the body. I've had my bed shaken violently, all kinds of things. So, see, when I say so big deal, the insane mind says, what do you mean big deal? What do you mean so? Again, does a butterfly memorize its vector of travel, all the things it needs to know to make the trip from South America to Canada? When have they controlled my mind successfully? I started to be shown this. When you are disconnected from love. When you are not, you're like Neo watching the code go by. No alien, no matter how intelligent they appear, no matter what technology they have, if they're disconnected from love, they cannot compare to me. And they know it. They try to assess it. How is he resisting? Let's try this. Let's try that. They mix it up. They keep strategizing. They can't touch what they perceive as intellect. Just the way it is. Mind control is structure. It originates from a mind, a result of creation. Therefore, trying to affect a mind, a result of creation. If you connect to the Creator, not religion, if you connect to that which created you, it controls your mind better than anything it created can. No problem. It's not even a question. It's not even... the mind is structure. It's a binary apparatus. It's a computer. It's binary. It's polarized. On, off. Yes, no. And you're thinking, well, my thoughts are not yes or no. I'm neutral about things. Well, no. Even your neutrality can be broken up into components that are yes or no. They're trying to digitize people. That's what they've done. That's where digital has come out. That's why everything is digital. It's their very nature. Why else would digital occur? If the consciousness that's controlling all of you is suffering from a very huge bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is being stuck in the mind with no love. See, I don't care who you are. If you're connected to the Creator, you cannot be insane in any given moment. I use this example. See, people just don't understand. When I say, sometimes I've said love commands the mind, but people don't understand that. They link the word command with control. And that isn't it. Love allows the mind to be what it was supposed to be, a tool used by love. The mind is structure, which is a result of interference patterns of energy, which is structure. Shut your eyes and think of a flower right now. Imagine a flower in your mind. Imagine a daisy. Do you see it? Where is it? Tell me, where is it? Where is that daisy? Imagine a garden now. Where is that garden? What is that garden? You can see it, can't you? What is that? Now let's be more specific. Why is that? You know what you're seeing. Why are you seeing it? Where is it? What is its dimensions? Is that all of your mind? Or a result of the mind, which is holographic? Those are interference patterns, reverse engineered. It's like in a chemistry formula, they don't have really equal signs. They have arrows that go both ways. If it's a back and forth thing, same thing. You've observed the garden, which is just really the detection of waveforms of energy, mapped it in your mind, stored away that as waveforms, and now you're reproducing those waveforms to see the image. Holograms, if you've taken a physics class, even in high school, you usually have a unit where you make yourself a hologram. You use a laser and you split the light beams so you hit it from different angles. You know, and your teacher will tell you, okay, let's look at the film, and you see that it's just concentric rings that interfere with each other, like waves on a... And David Icke even talks about this. They're interfering with each other. Well, you're not seeing a picture when you look at that. It's only when you shine the light on it, the laser, in a correct way, that your brain interprets it as an image. You just did the same thing by viewing the garden in your mind. It's structure. It's the result of creation. Love is the intention of God. God, there is only one God, and you are part of that God. You are the garden in God's mind. So, you, as being part of the garden, can you get cancer? See, God doesn't visualize you, it doesn't make you a fixed image. It loves so much and has so much ability that it wants you to be self-aware, to observe it, enjoy it, assist it. Do you like to dream? You ever have a really good dream? Everybody in that dream was you. Everything in that dream was you. God's a dreamer. Except when it creates self-aware components, somehow what happened is part of it got disconnected from it. A self-aware creation of God, which is a part of God, that got disconnected from the Creator. God is the wrong word. And along with that comes fear, and then the predictable. I mean, the structure is so predictable. It's not to insult it. I'm not insulting the cancerous energy that's controlling everything right now. But it's so obvious that you, of course, would get scared and then try to, control everything. And then you can become addicted. Addiction comes from disconnection from the Creator. What you call the Illuminati and the energy they're serving is incredibly addicted to what it's doing, and I won't get into it right now. But obvious results. The mind is structure, so therefore math is structure. Mathematics, geometry, numerology. It's the result of creation. Now you have a disconnected part of that creation that tries to assess everything by looking at all of the results of the creation and not the Creator. So it's a bunch of copying, reconfiguring, trying to use structure against structure. Math is not life. You've got to understand, they're obsessed with numerology, zodiac, astrology, witchcraft. The whole thing is bound by structure. The pyramid, the energy grids on the planet, they look and say, okay, it appears here, and structurally we can say why. Because they're refusing, they're scared to death of this energy saying, you were part of me. And it's building up a wall of defense, or has, against it. How does love then take command over structure? Well, you've got to be connected to it. And if you're disconnected from it and don't seek it, with its hand always extended out to you, even this cancerous energy has a giant hand saying, just grab it, man, just grab it. Then you'll say, I don't believe in God. What if one of your skin cells said, if one of my skin cells said, I don't believe John exists. If you exist, John, show me yourself. Well, I can't, because it makes me up. I can't shrink myself down without shrinking it down. It can't perceive me in my full form from the outside to see me as a being if it's within my being. I can love it, send it nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, electrolytes, minerals, oxygen. But when it's healthy, it just knows that. Cancer is induced by trauma. And that can come in various ways. It could be a virus. It could be UV damage to a cell. What happens there? The DNA gets so beat up, base pairs are removed. It has different repair mechanisms. Sometimes it's able to replace base pairs that have been lost. Sometimes it's so screwed up it undergoes what's called gross repair. It just starts putting them together at random. Normally the cell dies. But sometimes it creates what's called an oncogene. This is how they assess it molecularly. Like computers, geneticists don't get it. If you take an advanced genetic course in university, you'll see that everything is explained to you either in math or structure. You take chemistry and it's all structure, electronegativity. The Creator put in my mind, there's an element right away. What's missing from the periodic table? Time. But anyway, electronegativity is the tendency of an atom, or the nucleus of an atom, to want to draw electron consciousness around it within a molecule. You see that with water. Oxygen would be considered an electronegative atom, and hydrogen's not. So when you have two hydrogens hanging off of an oxygen, and you have all the electron consciousness bathing it, surrounding it, seeing itself as I, the water molecule, it decides to allocate more electrons, or that consciousness, around the oxygen. Therefore, less electron energy is shielding the hydrogens. So they call it a polarized molecule, or polar. Positive charge by the hydrogens and negative or more electron consciousness around the oxygen. Well, okay. So it's like magnets or magnetic attraction. If you start to get large molecules, they can start to have different... When you have proteins in your body, let's deal with the body. You have different levels of structure. They call them primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Primary is just the chain. Secondary is the winding of the chain. Tertiary would be folding of the chain upon itself to take a shape. Quaternary would be different molecules coming together and being magnetically attracted to each other, like an antibody would be quaternary structure. Okay? Why am I telling you this? Because how does an enzyme then? An enzyme is a protein with a large chain, and chains wrapped around themselves to take a shape. Scientists say, well, there are different atoms in there that are electronegative, and they draw a certain amount of electron consciousness around themselves, therefore, making other atoms more positively charged as it appears. So any molecule that will come in contact with it will be magnetically attracted to the various components of that enzyme. Beep, 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 boop, 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 boop. Just a computer thinking that through. Then you have coenzymes that attach to the enzyme, like certain B vitamins that, because of its electronegativity, draws certain electronegative consciousness or certain electron consciousness around itself, therefore shielding less of certain parts of the enzyme. So because of that, changes certain magnetic relationships and it changes its shape. And then you have cofactors which attach to the certain coenzymes like magnesium, and that draws more, or gives off more electrons to change its shape, turn it on, turn it off, like a computer. DNA multiplies because you have a helicase enzyme that starts to go anywhere within the DNA and open it up like a bubble and unwind it, unzip it. And then polymerase enzyme will attach itself to a certain codon and begin to move down that codon to transcribe RNA, which is then transferred to a ribosome, which reads that through electronegative attraction and transcribes an amino acid, which becomes a protein, which becomes a structure. What? Okay, that structure that is occurring, sure. What they're missing is the consciousness involved. What do you think, that just happens at random? Meiosis and mitosis are just random acts of accidental attraction due to electronegativity and charge within certain molecules? What? And you actually have professors that think they know something that teach this. The reason they think they know something is because they're only allowed to know that and ridiculed if they don't, or if they don't follow that, so that they can brainwash other students and keep them from thinking. It's structure. And even the consciousness that runs it is structure. Let me give you a really good example of what I mean. Because, see, I could go on all day about this. I could go on about science, properties, reality, whatever. All day. It will do nothing for you. I need to give you metaphors. I need to give you the ability to understand what I'm talking about. So let me try to do that for you. You know, I remember going through the pre-med major was a breeze for me. Did I get all A's? No. Sometimes I made the decision to do something else. But when I studied it, I enjoyed it, but I had nobody around who understood it. There was one professor who memorized a lot that I like, and he was a Jewish professor who always felt this need to challenge me. I know why now. But we still get along. We just last month we were arguing for like 4 hours about who runs the world and what's going on, back and forth, of course, the Jewish thing, back and forth. I had intuition, he had structure. We end with a hug, of course, because he knew that I saw through that and saw what was occurring with him on one level. He was my physiology professor, but I also took clinical endocrinology with him. And I had other things going on. I missed 3 weeks of class straight. I went into his office, and the exam was the following day. I'm like, oh, fuck. Not because I didn't think I could do it. I just knew that the protocol of everything. You need to be here this long in order to learn. This is what I believe, that type of thing. But we sat down and had a heart-to-heart talk about life for about an hour, and I really appreciated that. He took the time to do that. I really did appreciate that. And he said, okay, well, the exam's tomorrow. Here's what you need to know. And he handed me about 3 inches thick information, notes, handouts, all of that. By then, I knew that I could understand what I was looking at from a different point of view. I said, okay. I took it home and learned it. Didn't memorize it. I learned it, which allowed me to retain it. And I took the exam, and then, of course, he hands it back the following week, and he throws it down on my desk, shaking his head. And there's the grade B+. And then he says, flash recall will get you nowhere. And I knew right then he couldn't understand that it was not flash recall. I still, to this day, know most of what was on that exam. What I'm trying to show you, I said to him, is that I understand why things are happening. Love, the intelligence of love. I've used this analogy. It was given to me sitting by a river. I had the question, what is love then? The answer was given to me right there on the spot. It explained the concept of male-female energy to me in my mind, in my heart, and it just... how can I explain this to you? I was sitting by a river, and there, those certain plants that pop up out of grass that have the male components sticking up, the female leaves and everything. It just points my head down. Look at that leaf. You just know, so you look at it. And I'm trying to figure out, what is it trying to tell me until I realize it infuses into me. Okay, male and female components. Then it will make me observe what's around the structure. Oh, the energy manifesting it. Okay, now I get it. So male, female energy. Then it moves my head up to the sun. And then I realize, okay, male energy. That's what the sun is. Outward energy. Then it moved it down to my penis. Male energy. Outward energy. Then it moved my head up to, not like controlling me like a puppet. That's just the way I'm saying it to you. To leaves on a tree. Well, they receive the photon energy. They're female. And the energy around them, female. Receiving. And then the parts of the tree that look like an antenna, the broadcast antenna, is the male part of the tree. And then maybe understand that I'm not talking about masculine and feminine. Everybody has so many different male, female energies, in, out energies in your body. Then I understood, and then it put in my mind, now you understand what's going on. There's this outward destructive energy occurring on the planet. All the electromagnetic pollution, stimulation, everything is this outward male energy. That's why the Illuminati worship the sun and the phallus, and it's male energy. But see, when you're hit with all this electromagnetic energy, it throws your energy system out of balance, which can be female out of balance and male out of balance. And maybe understand that if male is out of balance, outward giving energy becomes aggressive, forceful energy. It can be in your actions, striking another individual, venomous words and language. It's an outward aggressive energy. If female is out of balance, then rather than being receiving, you become absorbing, gluttony, shopping excessively, consuming, basically. People that are around you that feel like they suck your energy away from you, that's female energy out of balance. The more out of balance it becomes, the more out of balance male becomes in a person, they become more bipolar or polarized. It made me look at my shoes. I'm like, what am I looking at my shoes for? And then it focuses on the rubber on the bottom of my shoes. The rubber on your shoes, that's an insulator. You're walking around without the ability to discharge or ground yourself to the planet and rid your body of this excess electromagnetic energy, which is throwing you out of balance. It said, take your shoes off. So I took my shoes off. It says, now you're discharging. Put your feet in the water. Now we're bringing you into balance. And then it made me look at the tree, and it made me understand this. The tree is the same as you. It has in and out energy, male, female energy. It's conscious on a different time scale. The tree is one of the most content life forms there is because it need not even move. Put the question in my mind, and I say it like that, you think that there's some sort of dialogue going on. Again, it's the only way I can express it to you, but that's not how it is. But that's how I'm going to say it, okay? Just to make it easy to speak to you. If a tree were scared of dying or being killed, would it even grow? You can do anything to a tree and it will keep growing until it loses its capability. But if it were worried about a tornado that could show up at some time, what is the point of growing? It said, if you want to see what you're missing, look to the tree. What does the tree have that you don't have? And then it whipped my head back down, male, female, sun, leaves, all around, trying to coordinate it for me, extracting a metaphor. I didn't have the information available to me that I could look up, so it had to do it this way. And then in my head it came up with certain things. Well, okay, it wasn't inhibited by religion, forced into synthetic guilt, shame, and fear. It wasn't told generically what it's supposed to do but not explained to it, and then coaxed with subliminal messages and programming and consciousness manipulation to make it do what it's Not supposed to do. It's not inhibited with fluoride or NutraSweet. It's not, subject to media or mind control. So the tree has an active connection to love and intuition. And it said, love processes the mind. It is the solvent to polarity. The mind, which is this input-output male-female energy and consciousness and structure, therefore exists in the tree and in you, regardless of difference in form. Why create everything the same? All things being equal, though, same type of energy system, it is connected to me. So then the scenario went. When you walk into the woods, why is it that everybody, they can be angry, afraid, worried, frustrated? All these different vibrations associated with your thoughts. Your thought will be on the carrier wave of that vibration. One and the same. So, if you listen to your favorite radio station, 103.2 megahertz, are you listening to a constant tone of 103.2 megahertz? No, your ear can't even receive that. And even if it was decoded and lowered down, that'd just be a constant sine wave. No, that's the carrier wave. And then embedded secondarily upon that is the audiogram of the music that you hear, the spectrogram and audiogram of the music upon that carrier wave. Well, your thoughts, you can have a thought, I am John, and have that go on different carrier waves. One of lack of self-esteem, one of love, one of answering a question when a professor says, please raise your hand in attendance. The same information can go on different carrier waves. So the emotion is information. It is also a thought in and of itself, and so is the thought. When you walk out into the woods and you feel bad, why does everybody start to feel better? They all know what, but they don't understand why. Well, gee, maybe it's just because it's so serene. No. And it directed me to go start walking in the woods. So take off your shoes. So I took off my shoes, and I started walking in the woods. How do you feel? Feel better. Why? And then just whip my head. Male, female, love, male, female, love. This aura around me, which would be like the electron consciousness around a proton of an atom in a different way, expands now. Additional energies were drained. And any angst, any anxiety was being radiated out. And of course, same bandwidth of existence the trees are in as you, otherwise you couldn't perceive them. Their input-output male-female energy receives your thought and emotion. Yet its animation is guided by this love and this intuition by the Creator itself. And so it is that love that processes your feeling. Is it absorbed by the female part, like a function in calculus? What's missing in calculus and not missing in the tree is the love and the creation and the intent. And that love knows everything, so it catches that your emotion is wrong. Not in my world are you to be feeling that way. Let me assess why. As you're radiating out all the information about what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, everything. It takes it and turns what's incorrect into correct, changing the carrier wave frequency to what it should be, and the information being adjusted, and then the male part of the tree radiates it back to you on your frequency because that's what it came in as. And that information infuses you and alters your perception of what you were worried about and gives you the true way to view it indirectly, just by being around other life forms still connected to love. Answers can come from trees. Is it coming from the tree itself or the love that it's connected to that processes your thoughts? And it said, what's going on this planet is a disease. In its truest form, it's a disconnection. And what you're experiencing now is what your body has been disconnected from. Love is the processor and solvent to polarity. It commands the mind. It allows it to work correctly, infusing it with information. All the animals, all the plants, everything there is what you're going to learn from. You are not going to learn from aliens. They are just as disconnected. The ones that are running this planet are disconnected. You cannot learn from them. Stop looking up for UFOs. Stop looking up for new information. And look at what I have allowed to be right in front of you. My creation in its perfect form. They did not think to alter all the other creations. Therefore, your answer is right in front of your face. You are going to pull out of this that you're in by observing my other creations that are not suffering from it. Your answers are in front of your face, and I am guiding you now. And that's how it happened with me. The most advanced scientific knowledge given to me from the creative source. No book, no video, no lecture, no mentor, no professor. Unnecessary. It said if you, in your role, which I didn't believe at that time, because of my ego, there's 6.5 billion people. How could this be me? It said, why not? Are you or are you not in connection with this intuition? Have you or have you not noticed that your whole life and wondered what everybody's missing? Do they or do they not want you not to know that? Will they or will they not make sure you keep running into people in life that tell you that you're not that? Am I the only one? No. And then the final thought was, they're all supposed to be this way. When you understand you are no more special or worse than anything you're looking at, then you will begin to heal. And that is not something that you can convince yourself of, like some sort of affirmation. I am no better or no worse. I'll force myself to believe that. No, no, no. When you realize the beauty of it, heaven emerges. Your sensory system expands. You see things you never saw before. It said, in my mind, it used what I knew, and if I didn't know it, it would show me like that. It would teach me like that. Now, during these lessons is when, I've always had a good relationship with animals. When I lived in Australia, I was feeding wild birds out of my window with my hand. And it reminded me of that. So because then you were loving towards the birds. You didn't have any belief that they wouldn't come or any hope that they would. You knew you loved them. You knew it. You didn't question your own love for them. And because of that, it allowed them to come eat out of your hand, and all your roommates said, I don't believe it. And as I started to learn that, that's when I started to be able to just walk up to animals and they would start responding to me. Because God is part of all of them. And it's saying, you see, love my other creations. And this is where humans are suffering. And that started teaching me why the animals run. I didn't read some philosophy book. And the computerized people, they respond to me, I've had everybody say, oh, well, that's so-and-so. Oh, you need to talk to a Buddhist, one guy said to me. I do? Why is that? You need to talk to a Hindu. I do? Why is that? I'm talking to the Creator right now. Those people are bound by structure. Why did I always have this feeling of connection to Bruce Lee? Because I understood what he was talking about. You see, there are a lot of people here that are playing a role in the healing of humanity who will begin to be revealed to you. One I can tell you right off the bat, without a doubt, the moment I saw him, within minutes, I knew. He's famous. The only reason I bring it up, I've seen a lot of people that are not. I bring up a famous person so you know who I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with their fame. One person I know that's here on behalf of the Creator is Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer. He deals with robots on a daily basis. People think it's about how to raise your animal. That's what the show is about. No, it's showing humans their disorder. That's what that show is about. Through metaphor. I don't have to guess. I don't need to talk to him. I know. It's just that. So love can change your perception, even indirectly. If you have love in you, and someone tries to psychically attack you, those carrier waves, that information, the intent of that is grabbed by love, and it says, It's just the way it is. I have all this consciousness around me constantly trying to attack me, and they're trying to figure it out structurally. Why is he resisting? Does this mean I'm immortal? No. See, you're all caught in a cycle here. They make you guilty. They infuse in your mind the cancerous intent, and it's sublime. It's a crime that's sublime. It's subliminal in so many ways. And then try to tell you quickly when you die how guilty you are. Use the threat of hell to get you to agree to an alternative, which is contracting to be a victim in your next role to learn your lesson. And they just do it to you again and keep working on your soul to break your will until you feel like you're so bad that you can't even perceive that you would be loved by God, so they can absorb you. So the best way I can explain it to you is I was assessed by a structural mind when I came, disconnected from intuition. Therefore, I was not told what I was. Otherwise, that would have been read in my mind. When I was born, the love in me was seen like a beacon. They go after that right away. That's what they're trying to stop. I was allowed to suffer, dip into all kinds of horrible things in life just enough to understand it, see virtually every aspect from every cultural point of view, shown that I have this ability to influence anybody of any race, of any culture, anywhere on the planet Earth, and beyond. Everything is coming together, okay, and I could go on for 150 hours about that. Let's say I was allowed to be trapped, caught in the net, like a Trojan horse, on behalf of that which creates everything. Many of us are. I am a specific one. Then, from a pool of those inside, certain ones are activated to activate others. What is my job? What is my task? It's a pretty tough one. I have to come in and tell you that on one level, everybody you look at is you. And there you are criticizing them, competing against them, weighing your existence against them. What do you need to know right now? So going back to the Cancer energy and understanding that there is a certain part of the energy used by that above you to see itself as I, that Cancer, right, disconnects you from, and like in your cells, and plugs into it so it can use your cells to see itself as I, separate from you. There's a whole procedure that would be involved there on its time scale of breaking that cell's will, enticing it to leave a perfect system already that you're not aware of. What I'm telling you is that on this level, the same thing is occurring. Here's the deal. I'm just going to tell you as it is, because it is. There's a giant consciousness connected to all of you right now. That's the secret the Illuminati know. And it's breaking your will with each life cycle and each new day, distracting you, disconnecting you from the Creator. The people that use, quote, witchcraft or psychic attack, some of them probably don't even realize, the low-end witchcraft people think that they actually have some sort of power. No. Their astral travel, remote viewing, all of that is traveling within the consciousness of this Cancer. Demons are no different than an electron manifesting in the consciousness surrounding a proton of an atom at any given time, anywhere. It's no different than the daisy you made in your mind. Is that all of your mind? So, because it's plugged into you, it's playing a role in the creation of your own reality. So, the ultimate truth is, when you break out, when I was broken out, it tried to backlash against me and overwhelm me, but it can't do anything to love. There's a giant consciousness running the whole planet. And it can't hurt love. Do you hear what I'm saying? It just can't. It can't do it because it doesn't matter how much energy it allocates. See, if love wanted to kill this energy, it could. That's not the point. It wants to heal it. That's why these things are being allowed to happen. Everything is going to be healed. All of it. Otherwise, it would just destroy it. Bang, gone. People ask, why would God of the Bible let this happen? Well, you don't understand it correctly. 2,000 years to you is certainly not that to the Creator and even to this Cancer consciousness. It's on a different scale. Your lifetime to the Earth is very, very short. To the Earth and its time scale, the Moon, for example, is going around it really fast. Like Superman in Superman 1, where he goes around the planet. To you, it's slower. It's a difference in time. It's like the cancer cells or cells being attacked by cancer in your body saying, where is this person, you, with the cancer? That's why fear and anger and all these energies feed cancer, as much as trying to war with demons or the aliens or us against them. That's a cancer attitude. That's exactly what it wants. If you direct hate towards it, it feeds from that. It's the way it is. If you fear it, it feeds from it. Anything that gives it energy. So, what is it like then? Well, again, another movie, The Matrix. Anybody can become an agent at any time. Yep. See, the people that wrote that movie probably predicted you wouldn't, or felt you wouldn't know what they're really telling you. The people that are disconnected from love, their subconscious mind, which is plugged into this cancer, could be hijacked at any time. Even my own parents have threatened me and have no knowledge of it. I've had two people in different instances when I've talked about life and what's going on in love. One, my ex-girlfriend's younger brother, just suddenly said, John, this is weird. I just had this vision put in my head of me grabbing this knife and cutting your throat. Intuition made me understand immediately. I said, don't worry about that. 5 months later, I was at another person's house. Another guy says the exact same thing. I just had this vision of me cutting your throat. Imagine me being able to say, oh, don't worry about that. That's happened before. I knew he wasn't ready to hear the truth. In his state, he's disconnected, pot smoker. People, they want you smoking pot. The way to influence the human mind is pretty simple. Make it illegal for a certain period of time. It's the fastest growing biomass on the planet. And then, at the same time, make sure you release medical information that contradicts its being illegal. Harvard, October 24th, 2006, released the information that it prevents the plaques and tangles formed in Alzheimer's. It promotes frontal lobe neuronal growth, all of these things. It's really good for you. Harvard? Yeah. Why? Because they're going to legalize it eventually. And then that will disconnect your aura from you and bring you into this mental realm where you can be controlled even more, and that will be used for their scalar jump.